Another weekend, another Miraculous Ladybug episode. This one being the highly anticipated and highly spoiled episode, Sublimation. I was unfortunate enough to see a ton of the leaks online, so most of the scenes weren't new to me. So what did I think of the episode? It was actually pretty good, all things considered. Even though I'd seen most of the leaked clips, watching the episode gave me new context for said clips that actually made me excited to keep watching. So let's get into my thoughts. Once again, I'll start with the animation. It was stunning in this episode. The fight choreography, the facial expressions, the minor details, the new Lucky Charm animation, all chef's kiss! Something I mentioned in my trailer analysis for this episode was how the running animation looked a little weird, but watching the whole episode, the running looked amazing. All of the movement this episode flowed so well. The actual characters themselves look really clean and realistic, even background characters. I especially loved Sublime's design and all the hairstyles they give her. Last review, I mentioned how I'm struggling to get used to Marinette's design, and while I still am, I'm warming up to it. It looked much better in this episode. Maybe there was less emphasis on the eyebrows, I don't know. And don't get me started on how good Ladybug looked. I wasn't completely sold on the new Ladybug design, but now I am. Speaking of Marinette, let's talk about her character this episode. Okay, look. I love Marinette. She's one of my favorite characters in the show, but boy was this not a good episode for her. Like in the last episode, she overcomplicates everything and it feels like she's regressed a lot, like how she spies on Sublime and how she follows her all day. While I don't like this because it feels like a regression of her character from last season, I'm at least grateful she's following her in an attempt to befriend her, rather than out of jealousy that she's hanging out with Adrien. These last two episodes have had Marinette spiral and overreact a ton, which feels a lot like season 1. I know this is a fresh start for the show, but I'm hoping this isn't a constant. After all, Marinette's more than just an awkward, chaotic mess of a human being, and these episodes have been really highlighting all the negative traits she has. However, as a Marinette defender, I may have an explanation. Like the intro states, she has a secret, but this time it isn't just about her secret identity. Miraculous World London, our in-between for seasons 5 and 6, shows Marinette's conflicting feelings on how she lied to not only her boyfriend, but to the entire world about the identity of Monarch and the actions of Gabriel Agreste. She is also up against a new wielder of the Butterfly Miraculous, who she knows even less about than she did Monarch. This is alongside her role as Guardian and Team Leader. Marinette has a lot of pent-up anxiety and stress due to this, which probably makes her more prone to overreacting and stressing over the most minor things. We know from past seasons that Marinette doesn't deal with trauma and stress well, and we're seeing that unfold in these episodes. In this episode, she's quick to jump to conclusions and overreacts to an extreme. So while I'm not a fan of seeing her be overdramatic and overreact to every situation, given everything she's been through and everything she has on her plate, I can see why she's like this. Now, does this excuse how she acted in the locker room? Oh, heavens no! I know Marinette never meant to cause trouble, but the fact still stands that her actions with the soapy water she spilled jeopardized Sublime's safety and her chances at securing a sponsor. And once again, she used Ladybug for personal reasons, something she has seen time and time again never results well. So her actions, while explainable, aren't excusable. However, she did realize she messed up at the end of the episode, fixed the mess, and apologized to Sublime, both as Marinette and Ladybug. I hope this isn't Marinette's trajectory for this season because I really like her character and these two episodes haven't been a good look for her. Though we're only 2 episodes into this season and we have plenty more episodes for Marinette's good traits to be shown off and for her to have some good moments, so I'm staying optimistic. Sublime is such a fun addition to the cast. We knew ahead of time that we were going to have characters with disabilities introduced this season, and she is the first of these characters, being a girl born without legs and using prosthetics to get around. However, despite this, she's a very talented individual. The episode shows us that she plays the flute and harp, speaks 5 languages, cares for animals, has joined many clubs and associations since moving to Paris, has won gold in the para-athletics, and is pretty good at taking care of herself without needing much help. Everyone talks about how perfect she is throughout the episode, and honestly, she gives me Zoe vibes, being introduced without major flaws outside of her disability. Side note, I do like Zoe, so this isn't an insult, rather, they haven't explored too many of Zoe's flaws since her introduction. Anyway, Sublime is shown to have struggles that she deals with that I hope are explored in a later episode. For one, her parents are divorced. We've seen divorced parents before, like with Jagged Stone and Anarcha, but we see it here in a different light. For Sublime, she has to deal with her parents arguing and her mom constantly putting her dad down in front of her. Divorced parents are hard for anyone to deal with, especially kids and teenagers, so this is something she struggles with. Sublime also seems to have some form of anxiety from the pressure she and others put on herself to be perfect. We see this in the bathroom when her hands start shaking before she makes a speech, talking her fears and anxiety down before leaving. It comes up again before her run when her hands start shaking on the track. Her dad, noticing this, provides comfort, letting her know it's okay to be afraid and not always succeed. Her mom, however, gives her a pep talk, not unlike the one she gave herself in the locker room. I could see Sublime's character arc being one where she learns to accept help from others, which is kind of foreshadowed by Marinette's failed attempts at helping her. Sublime's mother is constantly harping on her father for helping her out, like carrying a heavy bag over a metal bridge. Based on Sublime's reaction to this, and how easily she's able to solve her own problems in the episode, I believe that she's internalized that she can't rely on others for help, as she already has to be helped enough by her prosthetics made by her father, and her mother puts a lot of pressure on her to succeed and be perfect, adding her to the list of parents who have unrealistic expectations of children. Through befriending Marinette, she may learn to be okay with receiving help, which may lead her to standing up to her mother. But this is just a theory. A miraculous theory! Speaking of Sublime's mother, who we learn is named Caroline, she gives Mrs. Tsurugi vibes from the way she treats Sublime. She puts a lot of pressure on Sublime to be perfect, from her pep talk before the race to belittling her dad for carrying some of her things. While she may see it as tough love, this push for Sublime to be perfect and never need help may cause her daughter to collapse under the pressure in the long run. Get it? 'Cause she's a runner? That was not what I intended. I also didn't like how the minute Sublime fell, rather than checking on her daughter, whose prosthetic legs were broken and may have been hurt, both physically and emotionally, she ran after Bob Roth to make him reconsider. I hope she gets a chance to redeem herself, but she doesn't really seem like the best parent at this moment in time. Adrien unfortunately doesn't get a lot of screen time this episode, which kinda sucks, as with how he wasn't a part of the finale and is dealing with the emotional whiplash of losing his dad only a year after losing his mom, I want to see more of him. I also just need a break from Marinette, probably. These last two episodes have barely explored Adrien and have really focused in on Marinette, and while I do love Marinette, I don't feel like we've had a truly Adrien-focused episode since Passion. However, as Cat Noir, he really holds his own. The minute Ladybug calls for him, he's ready and raring to go. He plays a crucial role in this fight, not only being Bob's main protector and hiding him away, he also gives Ladybug her confidence back when she begins to doubt herself. Yes, he was the only one of the two hit by the Antikuma, which may be a running theme as Ladybug's powers are needed for purification and damage repair, but him losing his powers happens right before Sublimation is defeated, so it didn't make him seem so useless. This was a good episode for him, and might I add, he looks really good in this animation style. Lyla's manipulation this episode was really good. Now, the scene of Caroline's akumatization was in the trailer, so we already saw Lyla's manipulation on full display, but I really like how she steers Sublimation into going after Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous. Rather than forcing it like Gabe, she suggests it like it's an idea. She tells Sublimation that Ladybug and Cat Noir don't deserve their Miraculous, telling her she should take them. I love how Lyla blends her manipulation with her role as the new wielder of the Butterfly Miraculous. It's such a fresh take on the kind of stale akumatizations of the past. Now, we get another brief glimpse of Lyla this episode, as we see someone in a black jacket and jeans sit in the stands with a notebook, later leaving after the heroes leave. We also know that Lyla was lurking at the cafe Marinette and Adrien were at in Illustrator. So the person in the black jacket has to be Lyla. But why? Why was she there in the first place? I think I can answer that. Something you might have missed in the episode was when Marinette ran to get the string for Sublime's broken harp, she got it from the music room, where Anarka, Luca and Julika's mother, was with another person with short black hair. Marinette took the string from said black-haired person and ran along the walls like a cartoon. Back to this person, what color is her jacket? Black! What color are her jeans? Blue! And what was the faceless person with the notebook we're assuming Lyla is wearing? A black jacket and blue jeans. Not to mention, if you look closely, the face of this girl looks similar, if not identical, to Lyla's face. Yes, I think we saw Lyla in one of her disguises this episode. But there's more. I think from Marinette taking the string, Lyla may have followed Marinette and Sublime, hence why she was at the stadium. And who does Sublime mention when Ladybug turns up? Marinette! Who showed up under false pretenses of Marinette's? Ladybug. I think Lyla is on her way to discovering Marinette is Ladybug. That could be why she was stalking Marinette and Adrien at the cafe. not just because she wants revenge on Marinette, but because she may suspect her as Ladybug. I know I'm just kind of theory crafting at this point, but when I went back and watched the episode a second time before writing the script, I noticed the black jacket and jeans, took a pause, and everything clicked into place. Lyla is a master of disguise, so no background character can go unnoticed from this point on. Last character to look at is Mrs. Tsurugi. While relegated to a post-credit scene, she is the one who takes up being Sublime's sponsor after Bob Roth gets rejected for being the shittiest shit to ever shit. It makes sense, as Tomoe also has a disability, being blind. But she also mentions that technology works wonders. After the family leaves, she flashes the sinister smile from the trailer. We know Tomoe has her own motivations for wanting the miraculous, as she worked closely with Gabe in Season 5 to put the world in danger and knows that Ladybug lied about Monarch's identity. What she's playing now is yet to be seen, but I don't think she's taking on Sublime as a sponsor from the goodness of her heart. Now, there have been theories that Tomoe and Lyla will team up at some point, which I can see happening, but not anytime soon. Unless we get new information from Climatic Queen, I don't believe Tomoe knows who owns the Butterfly Miraculous at this moment in time, so all she could do is bide her time and wait for the perfect moment to strike. When that is, only time will tell. Moving away from characters, let's talk about other aspects of the episode. I mentioned the animation earlier, but I feel the animation this episode really helps push the humor in the show to the next level, specifically with Marinette, like her running along the walls at breakneck speed to get a string for Sublime, or her tactical retreat, running faster than even Roadrunner with nothing but dust behind her. Don't even get me started on how after Sublime's pep talk to herself, how Marinette just skids out of the bathroom. Everything is over-exaggerated in this episode, which makes it even funnier. Even if the one over-exaggerating everything is Marinette. Also, Cat Noir, while not at his funniest here, does have some fun jokes to lighten the mood, like hiding Bob in a dumpster because his attitude stinks. Joking about being paid when Bob brings it up, his oh-so-modest attitude about being his best self, and telling Ladybug how to do her job after the fight. Also, Sublimation flying off after throwing Ladybug into her own scooter. My next point I want to mention is the music. Music is not usually a compliment I give this show, as while it does have some memorable pieces, it's not usually the focal point of most scenes. Heck, finding background music for any Miraculous video I make is a nightmare, as I can never find the perfect music to back my thoughts usually. But man, the music that plays from the moment Sublimation confronts Bob right after Cat Noir transforms into the Lucky Charm music plays, and that same track starting up again when Lyla releases the Anti-Kumas, oh, that music was so good. It really got me invested into the fight. Speaking of the fight, it was the best part of the episode. The fight choreography was spectacular, from the one-on-ones between Ladybug and Sublimation to our main duo dodging blows and taking her on together. I also love how Ladybug's struggles are shown off here. Sublimation's powers don't destroy or cause problems, they actually help people. And Ladybug struggles with her worth as a superhero, especially recently with how she lied to the whole world about who Monarch and Gabriel were. It makes sense Ladybug wouldn't feel like the best version of herself. Cat Noir, however, tells Sublimation people don't have to be perfect all the time and that people are allowed to make mistakes, probably using his home life as the basis for his words. After encouraging Ladybug that she is the best version of herself, man, I love Lady Noir, she eventually decides to let Sublimation hit her, and she shows Sublimation that she and Cat Noir are the best versions of themselves, which is a really cool touch. I feel like some of these villains are going to be morally ambiguous like this, as like Ladybug says, Sublimation didn't destroy anything, though she did damage the hood of a car and Marinette's scooter a bit. The villain here was Ladybug, as if Marinette didn't transform and interrupt the trial, Sublime would have finished the race and Bob would have taken them as a sponsor. But then we wouldn't get a compelling episode. Also, it was probably a blessing in disguise, as for once, Caroline and Zephyrus, I think that's his name, end up on the same page and decide against having the shitlord Bob as their sponsor. But yeah, the fight was amazing and super fun to watch. My only complaint is it felt too short. I hope we get longer fights this season. For a leaked episode, this gave me a lot to chew and a ton to speculate. I'm so excited for what's to come, and I hope that the downsides of this episode will be balanced by more positives in later episodes. But enough of my yapping, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is Queen of Penguin saying peace out, and please don't name your children after adjectives.